Hey guys, welcome back to True Crime Talk with Mel. I apologize if there is any background noise. My daughter is on spring break from school, so she's upstairs, and I'm hoping not to be bothered, but if you hear any giggles, then it's her. Also, for some weird reason, I don't understand why, but my ring light keeps going out randomly, so I apologize for that too. So I decided that with this being Pride Month, I'm going to cover some LGBT related crimes. It's no secret that the LGBT community are disproportionately targeted as victims of hate crimes and gun violence. Today I'm going to be talking about a few of those cases that have rocked the LGBT community. Now, the details in these cases are going to be hard to hear and very disturbing. So keep that in mind. I'm also going to refer to the abuse as SA, so YouTube doesn't flag me. The first case I want to talk about is Matthew Shepard. Some of you might already know who Matthew was, but for those of you who don't, Matthew has become a symbol for the gay rights movement. This case takes place in Laramie, Wyoming in October 1998. Matthew's family describe him as kind, empathetic, driven, and he had a passion for equality and change. He was the kind of person that quite literally took a homeless man to lunch once a week. His family loved him and accepted him after he came out. Matthew's dad was in the military, so they moved around a lot, and he was living in Saudi Arabia for the last 2 years of high school. In 1995, he was on a senior trip in Morocco with other students from his boarding school, and he was attacked by a gang of men and SA'd 6 times and robbed. Now, in October 1998, he was living in Laramie, Wyoming, and attending the University of Wyoming, studying political science. On the night of the incident, he attended an LGBT group meeting, followed by dinner with friends. At around 10:30 p.m., he arrived at the Fireside Bar and Lounge, where he ordered a drink and talked to the bartender. Around 12 a.m., he was seen leaving with Aaron McKinney and Russell Henderson. According to them, McKinney and Henderson's plan was to rob him. McKinney pulled a gun on Matt and hit him with the gun repeatedly and took his wallet. McKinney claims Matt tried to touch his leg in the car, but Henderson said that he never saw that happen. McKinney dragged Matt from the truck, struck him in the head with the gun again and again. Henderson admitted it was him that tied Matt up, and both of them beat him and kicked him and left him there to die. After that, the two left and attacked 2 more men with the gun, splitting a man's head open, and one of them was gay, and I believe both of them were Hispanic, which could have been a possible motive. So, campus organizers were terrified of more attacks on the gay community. They were told not to go anywhere alone. The next day, Matthew was found barely breathing and was taken to the hospital, where 6 days later, his heart stopped and he passed away. McKinney and Henderson were charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and robbery. Their girlfriends were also charged for lying to the police and helping them dispose of evidence. On October 12, 1999, their defense attorneys tried to use the gay panic defense. He said McKinney was SA'd as a child, and after a week-long drug binge, he lost control after Matt's alleged advances. Matthew had 20 blows to the head, bruises on his groin, and numerous other injuries. The judge ruled the gay panic defense didn't stand. So on November 3rd, the jury began deliberations, and after only 1 day, they were found guilty of felony murder. They voted not guilty on first-degree murder because they said they couldn't prove premeditation. Both McKinney and Henderson were sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, this was one of the easier cases to classify as a hate crime because there was a clear motive and they admitted to attacking him because he was gay. In some cases, even though it seems clear that they were targeted because they were gay, it's actually very hard to prove a hate crime. In 2016, only 9 murders in the nation were classified as a hate crime. Which brings me to the next part of this video. In June 2016, Omar Mateen took the lives of 49 people at the Pulse Nightclub in Orlando, Florida. Now, I don't want to go too deep into who this person was because I honestly don't want to give them any more attention. But basically, he had been posting on social media and telling people that America needed to stop the bombing in Syria. On May 31st, 2016, Omar buys the weapon. Less than 2 weeks later, around 1:30 a.m., he arrives at Pulse Nightclub and opens fire. It took 3 to 4 hours to get the scene cleared after he barricaded himself in the bathroom with people who were shot, bleeding, and who needed help. When police walked into the nightclub, they said it looked like a bomb had gone off. They had to walk over victims so that they could clear the scene first, which I just can't imagine. One officer said that they remember someone trying to grab them and get them to help, but at that point, they didn't know who the shooter was or how many they were. It was just mass chaos. While he was barricaded in the bathroom, he called 911 and pledged his allegiance to the Islamic State. After 3 hours, he died in a shootout with police. After the scene was cleared and victims were taken to the hospital, 49 people died in the shooting. The FBI never classified this attack as a hate crime because he never explicitly argued that homophobia was a motive in this shooting. But his particular organization, he swore to, punishes gays with death. His last Facebook message while in the club was, "The real Muslims will never accept the filthy ways of the West." So you could argue that the bias to gays was a given. The attack occurred at a club that very knowingly catered to an LGBT clientele during Pride Month. He Googled nightclubs in the area, and you can't tell me that he walked in there not knowing that it was a gay club. It was also Latin night, so he could have been targeting them as well. The hardest part of classifying a hate crime is that you have to prove that there was a target of a specific group of people. It seems to me that Omar's religious views are what led him to make this decision. As someone who classifies themselves as more spiritual than religious, I will never understand how people can use their religion to cast hate on anyone. I personally believe that using your religion as a reason to hate, exclude, or treat any other human being differently is disgusting. Which brings me to the last part of this video. Some of you are probably familiar with the Westboro Baptist Church out of Topeka, Kansas. It is led by Fred Phelps and his family and devout followers. They have been protesting memorial services for soldiers, memorials for shooting victims, and most of all, the gay community. Basically, they regularly travel all over the United States to protest the gay community, soldiers, and to spread hate. Now, can you imagine being the parent of a school shooting victim and coming to a memorial where you see these people protesting? This is just disgusting, and I'm ashamed that we have that many close-minded people in this country, to be honest with you. Now, I want to get something straight. I have no problem with you believing what you believe, practicing your religion, but when your religion becomes an excuse for you to hate and inflict violence on a group of people, I'm not okay with that. And I hope you're not either. Roughly 5% of the United States classifies themselves as LGBT. That's nearly 15 million people. They are 60% more likely to experience mental illness, 3 times more likely to develop substance abuse problems, and transgender people attempt suicide 9 times more than the entire United States population. From 2018 to 2019, there was a 41% increase in hate crimes targeting sexual orientation. Whether you want to admit it or not, this is an epidemic. We have to do better. We have to be actively fighting against hate. We have to be an active ally. There is no room for hate here. Some things that you can do this Pride Month would be to purchase from LGBT-owned businesses, attend Pride parades, educate some friends or family, or just provide a safe place for the LGBT community. With that being said, I will not tolerate any sort of negativity or hate towards anyone on my channel, so please be nice. This was one of my longer videos, and it was a little bit harder to research. But thank you so much for sticking around with me during this video. I'm hoping I can make some longer ones as I get more comfortable. I know we touched on some tough subjects, but it is important. It's very important. I appreciate you. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Please remember to love each other. Be nice, be kind, just love each other. Peace out.